Hey, we're going to go live in just a minute. All right, at 1 o'clock every Monday. Well, not last Monday. I was teaching a NatMe course last Monday, so I couldn't go live last Monday because we weren't on break at 1 o'clock. But 1 o'clock on Mondays, we generally do go live. So I'm just waiting for 1 o'clock and we'll see what happens. We'll see what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today? We are talking about driver files and common errors. So if that's important to you, stick around. Driver files, common errors, conditional CVOR, all of that stuff is really important. And that's what we're talking about today, Monday. Wasn't it a beautiful weekend? Monday, March 22nd. Here in Southern Ontario, I live in Hamilton, and it was a gorgeous weekend, and I actually got a little bit of sunburn yesterday. Unbelievable weather. All right, it is 1 o'clock. Yes. Hey, thank you for whoever is viewing there. Leave me a comment. We'll throw it on. So, driver file errors. Let's see if we can do this correctly. Hey, there we go. Look at that, except for I'm not on the right slide because I was rehearsing, believe it or not. Why isn't that moving now? There we go. Okay. So we're talking about driver files and driver file errors. And of course, the first thing we need in a driver file is an application form. Yes, an application form would be good. And see where it says right there at the very top, company, address, city, and all that kind of stuff? Believe it or not, that needs to be completed by you. So that needs to be completed. Also, I want to say that just about everything on this application form needs to be completed and filled in, especially if you cross border into the States or leave your state, because then you're ruled under federal motor carrier safety regulations, and I will show you in a sec that they dictate much of this form. So this live, we are talking about some of the most common errors that I see frequently, I shouldn't say all the time, but I see frequently in driver files when I'm conducting an audit. So first of all, you need a driver file. All right, then you need a driver performance evaluation or a road test. That's the other thing. You need a road test. And so frequently I ask clients, do you do road tests? Oh yeah, we evaluate all of our drivers. All right, show me the documentation. No documentation, so that's terrible. But on the road test, here is a common problem. I often see every one of these categories just marked okay, or checked off, and there's no comments, there's no suggestions for how the driver might get better, nothing. And if I look at this road test form and I look at another road test form in another driver file, other than the driver's name on the top, it looks identical. And if that's your type of road test, fix it up. Each road test needs to be unique in its own way. And I would urge you to have a road test like this one here that is actually scored, because by scoring it, it will be a little bit unique, and you can write different comments down. And as long as your applicant scores above a threshold, and I pick 80% for my road test, but you can pick 75 or 70, whatever it is that you like. But now you can record the fact that the driver was not perfect on the road test, but that you discussed his imperfections or her imperfections, and they improved while on the road test. That looks great. So, and if you need one, safetydawg.com/free, look for the button that says driver road test, I think it says, or road evaluation. Let me just check here. What does it exactly say? It says road test form. All right, so look for that road test form. And if you need one, that's how to get one for free. All right, the other thing that is often missing, this is reference checks. Whether you are an American carrier or a Canadian carrier, you need to do references. All right, both sides of the border really like to see 3 years. In the States, of course, it is legislated 3 years worth of references. In Canada, it is a preference or a good business practice. All of the insurance providers really want to see a 3-year reference checks. All right, so make sure you get that and document those. So either, as you can see there, either no references or incomplete are often a problem. All right, 391.21, if you are a carrier from the States or going to the States, you must meet federal regulations. In the States, the DOT, and Regulation 391.21. You can look this up. This is where you'll find all the regs about the application form. And as I said, the name and the address of the motor carrier needs to be there. But let me share my screen with you. And there, okay, so here's my, right there is the road test form. But what I wanted to show you was not that. As you can see, I am on the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. And you scroll to 391 right there, and it says driver qualification files. And so this is all the regulation, but what I want to show you is, all right, there's something in my way there. Hopefully you can't see that. But the responsibilities of the drivers, here we go. Disqualification of the drivers is all in here. And it was number 7, not disqualified. All right, so the rules are here. Scope rules, what needs to be on an application form? You will find here under this coming section, application for employment. Here's all the rules that have to be found on an application for employment. The applicant's name, address, date of birth, the date, all this kind of stuff. But what I wanted to show you here, a list of all motor vehicle accidents has to be completed. If there are none, have the applicant cross it out and place none. A list of all violations. And again, if there are none, none. Make sure the applicant is signing the application form, because now they are attesting, if they put none, that it is none. Dates. So the employment history. This is another area that I often find is incomplete on an application form. So the reason for leaving that employer, it's right there. It must be completed. The dates must be completed. A list of all the names, addresses, and the applicants for the employers for 3 years preceding the application form. This is often incomplete. Addresses aren't there. So please make sure everything is completed. And recently, I also got, hey Sanjeev, how are you? Recently, I was reviewing an application form. Hadn't seen one of these for a while, but these questions must be there. You can see as of 2004, you've had to add these questions to your application form. Was the job designated a safety sensitive function in any DOT regulate? Okay, so that's one question, must be those wordings exactly. And the other question is right here. For those drivers operating, sorry, that goes back to 10 years. So this is telling you that the 3 years that was previous up here, 3 years there, plus if they are a CDL, there's 10 years there. So the two questions that I was referring to, was the applicant subject to the federal motor carriers while employed by that previous employer? And then this one here, those two must be on your application form nowadays. Anyways, I don't want to kill that to death, but I do want you to see that you need to have an application form. So back to PowerPoint, and so read that 391, and almost everything in 391 here in Canada we consider a best practice, and your insurance providers want to see that. All right, so this one here, in the driver investigation checklist, if you are doing your driver investigation, as it's called, or the history or the references, do you know that as of October the 29th, 2004, you've got to have the files all locked up? All right, so during an audit, this is what they want to see. They want to see them locked up, and the access is limited. That's what that's trying to tell you. And you've got to have a copy of the driver's written authorization. So they've got to have signed the reference check form, in other words. All right, so when you're doing drivers, the reference history, please make sure you get written permission to do it all. Make sure you are getting their 3-year driver abstract, or MVR as it's called. And make sure you, in Ontario or Alberta, you're getting their commercial vehicle abstract as well. And then make a list of all the expiries for these things. This is a sample PSP report. If you don't know what PSP is, hopefully you are a Canadian-only carrier. But if you are a cross-border carrier or an American carrier, PSP is Pre-Employment Screening Program. Pre-employment screening program. If you're not a member, Google it. Your insurance company absolutely wants you to be a member if you are a cross-border carrier, Canada going across. Hey, Bruce, how are you? Thanks for joining us, Sanjeev and Bruce. Yay, I got 2 viewers. Hallelujah. And of course, we're going to post this on Facebook, or sorry, on YouTube as well. But hey, if you are a cross-border carrier with a DOT number, you absolutely should be getting your PSP reports. It's not required by law, but the insurance providers all want you to get your PSP report. It's a 5-year history of crashes while in the States and a 3-year history of violations while in the States. So things like scale inspections will show up. And if it's a clean inspection, it shows up as well. So do that. Make sure you get your PSP report. I know it's $10 US per year, per search. Make sure you have a current copy of the driver's license that is not expired. So these are common violations that I often see with different violations. All right, so that was it. Really quick for common errors in driver files. If you've got a conditional CVOR, it's hugely important that you get rid of that conditional CVOR, and driver files is one of the areas that MTO certainly looks at and audits. So conditional CVOR, people, you got to get rid of it. Talk to somebody, talk to a safety consultant, and stuff like that. And Bruce says he's good. Thanks, Bruce. Awesome. With that, so this was a short one today, 13 minutes. That's kind of normal, actually. Next week, we will continue on talking about conditional CVORs, and I think we'll get into a little bit about maintenance files next week. All right, so Mondays at 1, we go live, and then shortly after that, we post it to YouTube. Sorry, Bruce is saying, watch for Chris. Yeah, oh, yes. Can I bring that on the screen here? There, thanks, Bruce. Watch for Chris on the Hamilton Spring Seminar of the Council of Driver Trainers. That is this Thursday. Thanks for reminding me, Bruce. This Thursday, Council of Driver Trainers. And Bruce, you're also on that group, are you not? Because you weren't at the rehearsal. And yes, we have rehearsals. I'll just wait to see if Bruce can respond to that. And in the meantime, I'm going to say, Chris, a safety dog. I will put a link in the show notes below for the information on the Fleet Safety Council. And this Thursday, yes, Hamilton Fleet Safety Council. Bruce is also a part of it. It is a firing line is how I'm thinking about it. Mike Derry from Intact Insurance is going to be asking a group of panelists best practices and common errors, I think is what the topic is. All right, so with that, Safety Dog's out of here.